Hello everyone and welcome to the first track guide on GT Sport. Well, I think it's the first, and we're here at Suzuka. So I picked Suzuka first because it's on multiple games. So you can use the track guide on multiple, games. You look at the corners and take them similar. And also this is one of my quickest tracks. So the first thing you want to do is you want to come through the Casio Triangle, but get a good exit on this part. So I always cut a little bit of this corner just so I can straighten up quite quickly, as you'll see me do here. And then I can accelerate out. Be careful in some of the rear wheel drive cars about the rear coming out on the exit. Of course, if you touch the curb, it's going to unbalance the car and things like that. So to start lap, you want to stay to the outside, try and get as much speed as you can. Obviously it's the most reduced angle, so you should get a little bit more speed through the corner. And then the start line is here. So we begin the lap. Now, with this, we're going to do a slow-mo of the lap, then we're going to go full pace through the lap, and then we'll also look at the track penalties, where you can reduce them quite easily and quite effectively, and also some of the overtaking and defensive positions you can do on the track to gain those positions in a race. So as we come up to the first turn, what you're going to do is, I've got the cones on here as well, but if you don't have cones on, there's an Astro piece of tarmac there that you can use. I use that sometimes, but I'm going past the cone at this point, and I'm going to brake, and you want to trail brake all the way through this corner really. So I've dropped 2 gears, and then I'm going to drop another gear as I go into this next part. You can see I'm trail braking constantly here because I want the car to turn in. So the weight's going over the front wheels, the car will turn in, get a bit of rotation, and then accelerate out through the corner. Be careful on exit because you've got that light green stuff there, which is very, very slippy. Got to be careful of that stuff. Then you want to head towards the right hand side and then sort of turn in, let off the throttle a little bit, drop a gear, and this is for all cars, so drop a gear, and this is all about average speed throughout all these corners. So you can take these 2 ways. You can either brake, as you see I brake here, you can brake for each of these and go flat out into them, or you could just balance the throttle, so half throttle through them, then full, then half, then full. You want to stay in the middle of the track here for this one, just because you can get a good run round here, because on the next one, the right hander coming up, you're going to brake no matter what, because otherwise you carry too much speed. It's a bit sharper than all the other S curves. So as you come into here, you're going to brake, and you know this by the 2 cones here. You're going to brake, and you can see I'm just balancing the throttle here. I'm just waiting for the car to turn in. So you just see it turn in here. I can then start to begin accelerating, so you can see my throttle picking up slightly here. And then for this one, you want to stay flat out if you can. If you can't, just back off the throttle a little bit, as you see here. Back off, straight back on. As the cars are just turning quickly, and then it's full throttle through the corner. Be careful on the exit because it'll drag you out into that gravel if you run too wide. Got a bit of tarmac here, which is very handy. Otherwise, you're just going to have to be very careful. Sometimes it's better to be safe than sorry on that corner, just to get through the lap, because it's not a make or break part of the lap. So as we come up to Degner 1 and 2, very difficult corners. You've got the boards on the left hand side. You've got the 100 metre board and the 50 metre board. Obviously we've got the cone here as well. When you get to the 50 metre, you want to then dart right. Try and cut as much as this as you can, which is legally allowed in whichever championship you're running. Go towards the left hand side, don't run too wide. The light green stuff is very slippy, and then you're going to brake where the cones are, if you have the cones, or just before the end of the curb. I brake to 3rd gear here. In some cars you're going to brake to 2nd gear depending. You want to use all the inside curb here. On the exit, be very careful. You either want to not touch the light green stuff and go really far over, like I do here, or stay to the right of the curb. That light green stuff is very slippy. You'll spin off straight into the barrier. As we head towards the hairpin, you're full throttle at this point. You want to stay tight to the right. You want the largest angle possible for the hairpin. So as I come in, I'm going to stay to the right, straight to the right, just at the end of the curb there. I'm going to start braking. I drop to 2nd gear. In some cars you may have to drop to 1st. I stay 2nd because especially in a rear wheel drive car you get a lot of traction issues on the exit. You can see I'm trail braking all the way in, staying tight as tight as possible, because I literally want to get around here, point and squirt straight out the corner. Full throttle already, as you can see. Because I'm in 2nd gear, I initially won't have a lot of power, but it will build up. It's sort of high end 1st, low end 2nd in a lot of these cars, and if you stay in 2nd, it'll just give you that bit more traction on exit, and you can accelerate through the corner. Now we now have this long turn 12 now. In some cars you're going to stay tight, in others you might want to veer out. Basically you're listening to the tyres. Are the tyres squealing a lot? Are you losing speed by turning? In this situation, this Group 3 car, it's better to stay tight. Next we've got the famous spoon curve. Obviously it's 2 corners, so 2 apexes, and at this point we're looking on the right hand side, there's another piece of tarmac, and I've mentioned this in another track guide for Suzuka. These tarmac runoff areas are great. So here you can see in between the two cones, you've got this tarmac area, and I use that, so I'm braking down to third gear, and I'm turning in. You want to hit the curb early, it's a bit grippy, then accelerate out of this towards the curb on the outside. Be careful not to get dragged in, the light green still there, it's very slippy, and then the minute you hit the curb, you basically want to brake and then start trail braking into this corner. This is tighter than the first one, and it's ever tightening, so you always want to get on the throttle early. I balance off throttle in any car. You see it's at half. When I see the exit curb, I can then accelerate out. Now, initially, you've got to be careful of the light green stuff. Either go all the way out onto the darker green stuff, or do as I did here and stay on the red and white curb, and you'll be safe doing that. So now we're going to accelerate to one of the most famous corners on the Suzuka track, 130R. Now, the trick with this corner, sometimes you want to cut the inside and it'll drag you over. Other times you want to turn later, because it'll just give you a better angle through the corner. The main thing is you don't really want to brake unless you have to in that specific car. Now you've got the brake markers on the right side. I think it's 150 in GT Sport, but we'll find out when we get there. So no, we've got 200, then 100, then 50. Now obviously it's at the 50 meter board you then want to turn in. I would always recommend cutting first until you get used to it. So the minute you get to the 50 meter board, turn in. You can see I'm like quarter throttle here. I've not done this the best. You want to be full throttle. It's only a quarter for a little bit, full throttle, and you can use all the curb on the exit if you want to. Just be careful of light green stuff. If you're going to run wide, go a bit further over as we head towards the Casio Triangle. It's the brake markers on the right, but I use the cones in this case. It's just before the 100 meter board or at the cones, down to second gear. Now it's all about the exits here, so you want to get a nice early turn in. I get a really nice early turn in here, use as much of the curb as I'm allowed in this game. I can then turn left earlier because I've got a nice angle through the corner, and then I can straighten up and accelerate out as fast as I possibly can, like I did to start the lap essentially. But because I'm coming up to finish a qualifying lap, stay to the right this time, don't stay to the left. Left is the start of the lap, right to the end of the lap. It's a shorter run to the line, therefore a quicker lap time. So you can see my time was going down initially in this one, so minus 0.561. Watch it now jump up because I'm staying to the right hand side. Shorter distance, run to the line. This was a rank 1 time in the Nations Cup at the time. So let's look at that in fast mode. So here we go. I want to stay to the left hand side of the last corner here. So we head towards the start finish line. It's very early on, remember. And here we go. So coming up to the first corner, you got the tarmac. If you want to use the tarmac, we've got the cones. We're going to aim towards the first corner and go out, but we're going to trail brake all the way in. We're going to drop 2 gears in this car, and then we're going to drop another gear there as we turn in very nicely there. Be careful on the exit with the light green stuff. Head towards the right, drop a gear, turn in. So you can either do these either just using the throttle or brake and throttle. I always recommend if you're struggling for speed, just use the throttle first of all, because using the brake you're going to lower your average speed through here. Be careful of this corner, you want to brake and just manage your throttle and then get this exit right. Don't risk it too much if you don't have to. Otherwise go to the outside, but it might drag you in. Degner 1 and 2, 50 meter board, turn in. Go towards the exit, be careful of the curb, it'll drag you out straight away, and then brake and turn in as early as you can. Use all the curb on the inside and then either use all the curb on the exit or none at all, otherwise you will spin out as we head towards the hairpin. Hairpin, brake marker, end of the curb. Brake here, down to second gear. I do second gear here. Some cars you might have to go to first, but here it's perfect for second. Stay as tight as possible and accelerate out. Use all the exit curb on if you can. More angle on your steering, more chance of it oversteering. So as long as you've got it straight, head towards the exit curb, full throttle. As we come towards spoon, we've got the tarmac on the right hand side. This is what I use. Bang down to third gear, accelerate out towards the exit curb, and then back towards the inside. Now this corner ever tightens, so once you see the exit curb, you can then start accelerating. Be careful of any oversteer. Don't go too far over on the curb as we accelerate towards 130R. Now 130R, you want the 50 meter board. I recommend, as I say, cutting it a little bit. It'll drag you around. But the fastest way is actually a bit further, turning in a bit later. As we head towards the Casio Triangle, brake markers left and right. I use the cones in this situation. Early turning, that's what you want. You don't want to brake too late here. Through here, straighten up the car. Stay tight this time as we head towards the start finish line to finish a fast lap of Suzuka. Catch my breath. So I hope you enjoyed that bit of track guide. Let's have a look at penalty reduction. Say you've got a shortcut penalty on this track. How do you reduce your time as quick as possible and as efficient as possible? Thought I'd add this in, so here we go. So we're going to get a shortcut penalty here for cutting Degner 1. Very common thing to do on this track because you're trying to cut as much as possible, reduce the angle and any risks for Degner too. So as we come in here, one of the good opportunities to lose time is actually in the hairpin on the exit. You don't lose a lot of time, but you can actually knock a second off straight away. So as we come into here, just taking the corner as normal. As I said, I've just run a bit wide there. Look at the time going down. Just lost 0.8 there on the penalty. Lost a tenth in the corner. Good trade-off. So the hairpin is good. 130R is the best bet though, from what I've tried out. So come through 130R, and I could accelerate a bit more here, but I stay off the throttle. Watch it count down now because it expects full throttle. We're not doing that. And as we're coming up to a braking zone, it's not a big impact on my lap. So we lose about a second there, but we knock off a full 4-second penalty. Two good places there to knock penalties off if you get them in a race. Overtaking and defending. I thought I'd show this bit because sometimes people don't know where to overtake or defend. I'll show you some moves that happened in a race. It's mainly the one with Jamie that you saw the other day. So here we have Jamie behind me at one point in the race or another. And we're going to have a look at what he does. Ooh, a bit like there. So I stay to the inside, which is what you want to do here. Jamie's going to go to the outside. Now, with this first corner, it's a double apex. So if you stay on the inside and stay tight, you'll be able to defend it really nicely. So you can see Jamie's expecting the cutback, but because I stay on the inside, he can't do that. He's got to stay behind here. He could then go to the outside, but it's a lot more risky if you don't know the driver you're racing. So here we have Moira, 30. He's a fairly quick guy. I've raced him. Ignore the weaving. Don't know why he did that, but we did have a good race. But as we come into here, I obviously can't brake too late here because I'm going to run into Moira. But he then runs a little bit wide. Now this is a good example of not how you can't overtake in the S's. It's just too tight. So he makes a tiny little mistake, just nudges me off. Now that's not his fault. He's just made a mistake and it's just a slight nudge. But that's how tight it is there. Let's have a look at overtaking at Spoon Corner because I think this is one of the best places to overtake. So as you can see, I defend on the inside. Jamie's then looking to try and do the cutback. Now I stop him initially on the apex, but I then run out wide and Jamie manages to get on the inside there. So a really good move by Jamie, and that's where you can make these moves. And then obviously you've got this long straight period, so if you're on the inside, the guy on the outside is going to wait ages before he can accelerate, and you can just accelerate out the corner so you get a good run. Now let's have a look at Moira, 30. Exact same place. Obviously it's a popular overtaking spot. I'm going to do the same thing here. Obviously it's the same cars here, Peugeot and RCZ and Porsche. So he now tries to go around the outside, but because of that light green curve there, you see he loses the back end. He loses out here, doesn't do the cutback. I obviously then keep the position. I've obviously got to do a bit of defending going up here to 130R, but I do that. So let's have a look at 130R. We're going to look at Jamie first. If I defend on the inside, Jamie goes to the outside. So you got to be brave here to go too wide, but because I'm the car in front, I can be a bit more aggressive there. Jamie has to stay on the outside. And because I've got a bit more of a run, I can then defend on the inside for the Casio Triangle. And that's all mine because it's just one car through here. You know, a single file. That's how you defend at 130R. However, if they're a bit closer, like Moira is here, he's going to have a bit more of a run. And because he's got a bit more of a run, and as I mentioned, you turn later here, you carry more speed. I've got to give him room on the exit because he's more side by side. So he gains that position. It's a very hard manoeuvre to do though, so I wouldn't recommend overtaking at 130R. Let's have a look at, I think this is Ascan Racing, because this is another good spot. So stay back at 130R, but he does an excellent move here into the Casio Triangle. It's a braking zone, so nearly 3 wide into the Casio Triangle. A little bit of contact, but an absolutely fantastic move. He broke in time. Obviously then I have to give him room on the inside, and he gets that position. So they're the 3 main areas I would overtake at Suzuka. I hope you enjoyed this video, this track guide. Let me know of any other track guides you do want to see. Any particular track you want to look at, but that's it for now here at Suzuka and on the channel. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next video.